recording, start streaming, booyah. And then hopefully something will start happening. Every time I do this, I wonder if it's gonna work. And every time it does work.
Oh,
so
hello.
Is it working already?
Yes, it says watch now. Let me check. Yes, I am there. And you are there.
Oh.
This is strange. So this is strange.
Okay.
So this is strange.
Oh, okay. I turn it off. Yes. Excellent.
Okay, good.
That was me. Okay, so let me just do this. So yeah, I think I keep thinking that elevator music would be appropriate for the first minutes of the stream, because I feel people, if not in the elevator, where else do people feel at most ease? So I thought that would be a good.
How about lobby music?
Elevator lobby, I feel like in my mind that's quite similar.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes, please go ahead.
So yeah, so we're live. This is it. No more drills. We've been practicing this all weekend. But yeah.
Have we? Was I invited?
No, it was mostly my inner monologues. But yeah, so today we are taking a break a bit from purely technical topics, I think, which we've been doing so far for quite a while, I mean. And today we're going to be talking about something equally important, maybe even more important. What are we going to be talking about, Valerie?
We are going to be talking about role models and how to find a role model, how to become a role model. And I will take you through a journey of where my thoughts on role models have gone. We have met before. I've done a couple of talks on role models that you have been at, I believe both of them. And I think my thinking has changed, also because I have been exposed to more women in positions of power. I don't want to name drop, but I've seen Angela Merkel. I'm just saying.
Okay. But
like that's a highlight of my life.
That was a name drop.
Yes. But I do think I do want to have the opportunity to talk with you and explore if my ideas are still valid and if they are of use to other people.
Awesome. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Yes, I am wearing my company t-shirt. That is true, because my manager is also watching, just to make this a bit more high stakes.
That is why you were like, oh gosh. I am not nervous at all.
Awesome. So before we start, do you want to just say a bit about who you are and what you do in your just life?
I'm Valerie Benguiat. I do not work in tech, as Eva introduced at the beginning. This is a break from a talk on tech. However, I did have fleeting passing through engineering. And I think that is what sparked my first, damn, I just wish there were more women out there. Because I studied engineering, industrial engineering, and even that easy, kind of more admin-y type of engineering was just men. I was just surrounded by men. My teachers were men. The factories where we went for school trips were full of men, except at the reception, where it's always women. Why? Anyway, that's for another time. And it's good. It's great. I think men should be successful too, of course. But I didn't see myself there. And very frequently, the way that people talked around me also kept pushing me and telling me I was an outsider. Like, oh my God, she's the only girl in the classroom. Have her do X, Y, and Z. So I quit. That didn't happen for me. I went into journalism. Also, mostly a it's a very male-dominated environment as well. But I did see myself there. I did find my role models there. And for different reasons, I moved from being a newsroom journalist into more of a communicator, which is what I am now.
Okay.
That's as much as I'm going to say of what I do now. I communicate. I sometimes do internal communications. I turn and say to the workforce things that they need to hear for direction. I sometimes talk to the press, which is fun to be on the other side of the microphone. And sometimes I want to be there and say, like, no, you should really ask me this question. That's not helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I do. I communicate.
Okay. And so you said that when you were studying engineering, and you got the feedback of like, as a woman, perhaps I don't belong here just because everyone is telling me so, or not even telling me, like I can see, because I find that oftentimes it's, because in tech it's a little bit similar, and you get to talk to people, and I don't want this to be like a men versus women type of talk, but it's just the fact that in tech as well, a lot of the people you work with are going to be men. And oftentimes I would say, like, we would have these kind of discussions about gender and diversity, and they would say like, oh, but it's not like, I don't mean to be an obstacle to women, or I'm not myself guilty of stopping you from joining this. But what?
Can I come in right there?
Yes.
Because I see that you're going for that, not all men. And it's true. I have got the most aggressive feedback of you don't belong here from women. Not pointing fingers, mom. But no, I think it is a cultural matter that we've reproduced. And it's not that men are not letting us get into those spaces, is that we cannot visualize ourselves in those spaces, and men cannot see us in those spaces either because we're not there. And so when you do butt into somewhere where you're not represented, people are going to turn around. Men, women. I want to be inclusive, sorry. Men, women, and everyone else, disregarding gender. And they're going to tell you, you're the only one there. And sometimes they mean it in a good way, like, oh my God, you're so unique, you're the only one there. But unless you're a very, very well-centered person, you're the only one there, doesn't feel so good.
Yeah, that's the other thing of being like the feeling like the token, kind of like, I fit the boxes of I'm diverse, and like now I make your group different and more like you think about these things. So I definitely think that it's
Can we talk about tokenism? Yes, please.
Okay.
What about? Well, you brought it up, and I am aware, due to our normal interactions as people that know each other, that sometimes you've been asked to be the token of diversity.
I mean, not just a token of diversity, but also to do the work of telling people about the importance of diversity. So not just representing diversity, but also educating everyone. Like, hey, Eva, so you do a lot of community work and you understand how important this is. Could you come to our conference and talk about how important diversity is? And my past self would be like, yeah, conference talks, woo, sandwiches, t-shirts.
The sandwiches are so bad though.
There. But now I think, but no. First of all, if you really mean it, you're going to do the work. And I feel now more than ever that my work is more like doing technical talks and like doing the stuff that a lot of people still think that women can't do. So like, yeah, like being technical, being doing research, like doing the hard stuff, doing the mathy stuff, doing the not the soft. I feel like everything. A lot of these conversations are already like by default quite charged, because you have to be like. I feel that as two women having a conversation about this, it can already be like a rant, or like, oh, like us versus them, which we really don't intend it like that. It just happens that a lot of times people that are kind of on the victim side are also the people that are most informed about this, and most obviously we're most motivated to change it as well, right? Because I want to have an environment where I go to a conference and I feel like, oh, okay, this is my people, not like, oh, better wear sneakers because I'll be playing ping pong and like, you know, beer, yes, awesome.
I mean, beer and ping pong is awesome.
That is true. It's true. I just would like to have a choice, maybe.
I know what you mean. I'm gonna go to a conference and people are gonna know where the women's bathroom is, or there's gonna be one. It's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be a women's bathroom. I am not joking. I have gone to places where the female bathroom has been reallocated because there's so many men. You're like, what the hell, people? I also pee. Yeah, I know. That's
you should go to tech conferences, because that is like you just breeze through the bathroom, because like there's always like empty, it's completely empty, so you're like, and then like if you meet a woman or someone there, you're always like, hey, you know, like almost
you and I. Yeah, I know, but yes, I would like to explore that now. It's not us versus them, but also we are the best informed. And therefore, if we don't talk about it, who talks about it? And I don't have an answer for that. And I would love to have an answer for it. I'll put it in context of the first time that penny dropped. I work in government communications, and there is a person that does government communications. That's their job. It's a big role, and like they own it, and they are non-binary, and they have just made a revolution of the language that is used in government communications. So I approached them and I was like, hey, I want to learn, teach me, let's have a meeting, we are colleagues. And they were like, no, go read a book. I'm like, well, you're so inaccessible. Like, I am trying to learn, okay? We are colleagues. I'm just asking for a meeting. And they were like, no, foot down. No, read my blogs, read a book, watch my vlogs, listen to my podcast. I have put all this out there. Go do it. I did feel offended. I did feel like, well, now I don't want to learn. Now you're putting me off. But I understand it. Like, of course I understand them when they're like, no, I'm tired. I'm really tired of doing the education thing. And I have met wonderful trans people that have had the patience to teach me. And I have met trans people that were like, no, here's a book, which is also useful. Thank you. And I have also been on the side of explaining why being a woman in a certain environment, for example, among journalists, is difficult. It's always late nights. It's always long hours. It's always in bars. If I was a breastfeeding mother, all of these things do not work for me. Your environment is not friendly.
Yep.
It's not family friendly, it's not child friendly, it's not sober friendly. It's just not friendly. And therefore not welcoming, and therefore I am more likely to leave my career.
Because just sorry to interrupt you there, because that's also the difference between diversity and inclusion, right? It's the one is like, okay, let's get the numbers in. We want to have like representation in all these different spheres. But like inclusion, like if you still continue to cater to a specific group of people and not like saying to breastfeeding mothers or like a lot of people, like people that don't drink, people that don't feel comfortable, like in this kind of environment.
People that like to sleep early. I mean, come on. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's me. Like I wake up at 6, 7, 6. Nobody is gonna say that I don't. I want to go to bed early. I don't want to be in a bar. But who does the education then? Do you do it? Or does somebody else have to do it? And now is my second life experience that got me thinking about this. I have a friend who's white, who's male, who's older, who's straight, and who is very woke. Very. Like sometimes he tells me off. How can you be more diverse than I am? And he champions women and LGBT people like there is no tomorrow. And sometimes I get a bit like, well, why are you the face of a talk about gender equality? You are, white male and stale. But if someone turns around and says, hey, Val, you're a woman, you come with the right bits. Yeah. Come and talk to us about feminism. Yeah. No, I have talents, I do other things for a living. This is not my expertise. I did not major in gender studies. But genuine question then, do we want allies that talk on our behalf and for us? Or are we going to do the talking? Here's where I would really love to have a panel so that like more people come and talk, but go ahead.
I think it's a tricky one. Because because there was a similar thing now, right, with the Black Lives Matter movement that all of these people were saying, like on Twitter, especially like on tech Twitter, they were saying like, stop DMing me. Like I am, first of all, if I'm the only Black person, what is wrong with you? And like, don't ask me to explain all of this to you. Go like experience life, read books, like all of these things, like you said, like all these things have been written down and explained, and like do a little bit of work, right? So
do the legwork.
But then like what you said about allyship and like who should be the face, right? Who should be doing the stuff? And like I feel like in tech, I think it's tricky. Like I think because I mind it if people ask me, but solely because they think like that I'm more suitable for soft talks and that I can't do the technical talk. So I think for me, long term, I would like to do both. So I would like to live in a world where I can choose to talk about what I'm interested in or what people find interesting, or like I don't have to think about, is this like, what kind of a talk is this? Is this too technical? Is this too like, so in an ideal world, that would be the case. But so far, I think in tech especially, I really appreciate it when men step up and say things like, because the thing is, oftentimes we start talking to people that already agree with us. And then you're like, I've been in so many of these women in tech events where it's like a group, it's like hundreds of women together, like saying, yeah, we need to get more women in tech and women can be programmers and we're really good. And we're like, yeah, no, sure. But like,
we're not the problem.
Exactly. So I think it actually is a good idea that you find the majority groups talking to majorities, because that's how I think you can sneakily get new ideas into people's heads, is by kind of packaging them into something familiar. I just read this. Yeah.
Again, imperfect answer, but when I hear people that are not from a marginalized group talking about marginalized group, it's very seldom that they manage to do it without a little bit of patronizing thing. Like, going back to this guy, Love him. 2 bits. Was going to talk at a conference on gender equality, and he started his speech with, I have daughters. I was like, that's not relevant. We should talk about gender just because women are humans, not because you have daughters. That's like, just no. But I do understand that until you have the exposure to someone, you don't understand their problems. First time I went to Sparkle, there's a trans pride in Manchester. First time I went to Sparkle, first of all, I ended up in tears. And it was also the first time that I was exposed to trans people and their problems. And then I was like, haha, okay, now there's another new dimension of life that I have to worry about. Hell. But if you're not exposed. So yes, just don't start your speeches with, I know a woman. So that, I guess that question will remain pending. Do we do it? Do we not do it? How do we get to the place where you can talk about tech and hard facts and also about diversity and inclusion, and hopefully just embody diversity and inclusion in yourself, in your company? Nice segue to the presentation I did for younger girls on role models. Because I think you are that change once you are open enough to know that you don't like it, but you have to do the soft talk. And you can do the hard stuff as well. And you do both. Very much like you, because you're doing it right now. You are a software developer and you are talking about gender. And we are being objective and just hard about it. Like, we're not blaming anyone. We're just wondering how we solve this. So I think that does make you a role model, because you are accessible, because you are talking about getting more women into tech, which can be like a prototype of how we get more women into other places. And you're really relatable because you're here, you're on Twitch, you're approachable on Twitter, just in case people didn't know. They can add, what is your Twitter? Sorry, I'm not on the Twitterverse, I'm not that cool.
I will put my Twitter.
You should put your Twitter handle. Yes, absolutely.
I will put my Twitter handle for if anyone.
I do think that there's going to be a generation of women that are going to have to do the soft talks and the hard coding, both, so that you then become the person that only has to do code and then be yourself, and that is going to reassure enough people. I don't particularly like to say inspire. I'm not saying you're not inspiring. You clearly are. People are just... Now I saw that Evelyn is here. Now I'm nervous. Hi, Evelyn. I'm not going to say you're not inspiring. Of course you are. But you just make it real. You make it feasible that people can, that women can, drop what they're doing that they're not happy with, learn how to code, and go into an industry that is mostly currently male and succeed and stay true to themselves. But you're going to have to do the heavy lifting.
Yes, and yes. So before we continue, I just wanted to say hi to everyone from the chat. We've had quite a few nice comments. Also, the comments, just to return briefly to the tech conferences. There's all kinds of tech conferences, and I've been to good ones and I've been to bad ones, and I feel like I'm now privileged to say that I'm in a position where I can say I will just go to the ones that are good, because before I would solely rely on like sponsorships and free tickets and be like, ha, take me. I can smile. So I did that because I just financially wasn't able to afford my own tickets because I was not working. But yeah, now so just so if you hear some jumping, that is the cats trying to open the balcony door. We will see. I will tell you about the progress.
Cats adventures always.
And you have a dog in the background.
I do. I am so sorry.
No.
I will show it now.
So I think the dog is a welcome addition. So if anyone has any like comments, experiences about, so today we want to talk about, so I would like to talk about what I know. So being a woman in tech, facing a lot of prejudice and bias and kind of obstacles, but like luckily still being equipped with some sort of to not worry about all the naysayers. So if people want to share their experiences, questions, we want to just kind of like open a dialogue because like Valerie said, I don't think anyone can say that they know what the answer is, and it's very difficult, right? Because these are all things that think that there was a reality and women were kind of forced to live in the world of like not having that many choices, of not being able to go to universities, of not having of being denied jobs and opportunities. But now, luckily, especially in tech, we're in a position where we can participate. But as a result of this discrepancy, you sometimes enter tech and you work in a job where you do not feel like you belong. And I've talked to women that have quit because they couldn't handle it, because of all the days that you're wondering, like, do you have to pretend? Because like all the jokes and all the stuff that you just...
Oh, yes. And in case you want to follow up on that, we should do an active bystander chat at some other point. And we should do a talk on how to deal with those comments, because I think I have now leveled up. I can deal with that, and I can teach you how to.
Okay. So not having good role models leads to imposter syndrome. Yes?
Yeah, imposter syndrome is going to happen. Look. Imposter syndrome is an issue for everyone. I think for women, it's in tech. In my brief transient existence in tech, it's more so because you're the only one there. So you start questioning, should I be here? Just like, imagine if you walk into a party and everyone is wearing black and you're like purple. Did I not get the memo? That awkwardness. It's just because, you came in with a different set of genitals and you just walked into a room. Am I supposed to be here? That's an imposter syndrome exacerbated. But men also feel it. So we also have to tackle, probably not one for this chat, the fact that men should be able to voice that. Like, imposter syndrome happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Just some people are better at hiding it.
Yeah, especially like now I don't know, like, I don't want to be like the person that says social media is the problem, but social media, I feel like it exacerbates, or maybe we just have a proclivity to remember all this, like when I was starting to learn to program, and I would hear all these stories about like, oh, I've just been studying for 3 months and now I have this amazing job and it's like bazillion monies and I'm so successful, like after 3 months. And I would be like there after 3 months, like trying to figure out like, what is a CSS ID or a class, or like, and like just comparing yourself to all these people is so bad for your confidence and self-worth. And because the thing is also like all the people that are average or all people that are like maybe took them longer, they don't tend to share their stories, right? Because they don't sound that good. I mean, I share mine, like, so mine, it took me 18 months, which I think is still like a really quite fast timeline to go from zero kind of programming to getting first paid proper gigs. Are you just talking about dogs? Because I feel like
no,
I lost you.
sorry, no.
Because you get this glazed look.
I'm sorry. Hi, yes, I am the speaker, and I'm also typing because I also wanted to say hi. Hi, dog.
Excellent.
I'm sorry. I will stop now.
What was I talking about?
Imposter syndrome. We were going on imposter syndrome.
Yes,
and also
imposter
that
syndrome.
If you're like,
yeah. So, like you said, like everyone has it, and everyone has it also because we tend to focus on all the like the shortcuts and the hacks, like the how to get super something in a short time, and like you just buy into it. I don't know why, but you just do it because like I can do it. If I buy it, I will do it, and like it never works. It never works with diets. It never works with anything because you get sold on a promise that maybe some few people will succeed on, but the majority maybe need a different path or longer time. But it's so seducing to just think like then to put yourself down and like to think like I still have days when I just feel like I'm never gonna get it, like this is so difficult. I knew this and I forgot it, and or I learned it like 3 times already and I still can't remember it, or I still don't get it, and I still have times that I'm just like I will never get it. But it's luckily,
and I bet that is not a gendered issue.
No,
I
for
bet
sure
that it's just because we voice it more. And let's be open about it. We have more permission to voice those thoughts.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like the flying dev just said like when you can see other people's like Twitch streams and see them live code and see that, you know, like super pro talented programmers with bazillion of years of experience still Google the same things that you Google. It's like, oh, okay, like you kind of normalize it, because sometimes, again, because you go on Twitter and you follow all these people that are uber successful and they have bazillion followers, and they might be like super peak amazing programmers, and you then compare yourself to them, and obviously it's not gonna work. First of all, because they show their best self, like they don't show their silly mistakes, but they like show their best successes. So you kind of feel like that's the standard, because that's the voices you're reading and like listening. And then I totally agree that just having conversations and making mistakes. Yes, question.
No, I am just so happy because then one of my principles mentioned what, I don't know if you can raise your hand here. I guess you can.
It's okay. It's just the two of us. I don't think you're competing against a lot of.
I don't like to interrupt. I don't know. You're saying really important things, but then the penny drops and I'm like, I have to say this. I'm so happy.
Say.
That one of my principles for looking for role models then still holds. And it's that people have to be accessible. So you see all these people on the Twitterverse and you're like, oh my God, they are so cool. And that is one reason why role models that are not accessible, and by that I mean that you can't see, that you can't talk to, they don't work. It just doesn't work. That you follow, 5,000 great women that are software developers on Twitter, but if you don't see anybody in your company, you're still not going to be able to think that you can make it, or not that much. I'm divided here because some studies show that just by knowing that somebody has made it, you can grasp onto that ideal and become it. And many others like, well, no, you have to have access to that person and be able to ask, how many times did you try before you made it? And it's the stories of failure that really form you. So being able to ask another woman, how did you break into this and break the glass ceiling and climb so high? How did you fail? And how did you recover? For me, I have found that is useful. But then I also have followed a very unusual career. I'm very female role model deprived. So I'm torn between the two, but I think people should try both. But people should really, really try to identify a role model that they can ask questions to. And I think with Twitter now, that is very democratic. I mean, I know you have reached out to people that are like Twitter famous and have answered, and you can ask questions, and then you have a plethora of people that you can follow and be, role model behaviors.
Yeah, definitely. And so
I would rather not ask those questions to Angela Merkel, though. I almost choked when I saw her. I'm sorry, I am answering to the chat because someone brought up Angela, and yeah, this close I was, this close, almost fainted. Not kidding. Go ahead. Sorry about
that. So yeah, Noreen and the Flying Deaf. We're talking about the imposter syndrome. So and I think especially in tech, because it's a very demanding field, and it kind of, I don't know, I feel like also once you're in it, you are supposed to be like, yeah, super, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, like there's a lot of for me still, and I feel very lucky and happy and everything in my current job, but it still feels like you can't never catch up with it because it's changing all the time, because people are so smart around you, because I'm sorry to hear that, Nadine, but yeah, it's a difficult field, but like so many others, I think. So what else have we learned? There's just, the chat has been quite active, so I'm trying to read what's been going on.
You're doing very well.
Thank you. So where were we? Role models.
Yes. So I was just validating my theory of role modeling. So we've been through relatable, and in a way we've been through accessible, because I have 4 principles, one of which I just blanked completely before this talk. I got a little bit anxious thinking, I'm going to be on Twitch. It's my Twitch debut. And I forgot, but it's my 3 principles for role models are relatable, accessible. Wow, I am panicking now. I don't know the third one.
That's fine.
Realistic. They have to be realistic. I mean, Angela, love her. It's not going to happen for me, right? It's really not going to happen. So yes, also role models have to be realistic. And I think many times we see great people that are doing TED Talks and that are super successful because they are really visible. And it's such a thing so far removed to become that. I think we can admire those people and think oh, that's great, good for them. But it's very hard to trace the path that they followed. So a realistic role model can take you to the next step. And I have started being more active in looking for my role models closer to home. And I still have a long-term role model that is not unrealistic. It's a deputy director of where I work. She's a badass woman. Truly, wow. Oh, sorry, was that a curse? Did I curse in your stream? Can I curse in your stream? Is this now gonna make it PG-13?
You can curse. I think we've cursed in the past, but just a little bit.
Just badass is fine.
Badass? I don't think that's a curse word.
I don't know. Well, she's really badass.
Awesome.
And that is now my role model. I could say her name, but it would mean nothing to you because she's not public persona. But that's okay, because I can email her and say, hey, do you have 30 minutes? I would like to ask about blah. She actually came to a talk I hosted or chaired. I emceed on sexual harassment, and she shared her story of sexual harassment being, deputy director of a really big organization, and she was sexually harassed in a party. It makes it real. It makes her real. It makes her relatable. It was horrendous, but also it was a moment of realization that she's a human and that this shit happens all the time. Sorry about the S word. But I think if people are going to take something out of this conversation, is that yes, be deliberate. Deliberate. That was the fourth one. Be deliberate when choosing your role model. Be active about it. Yeah. They do have to be relatable. Like, I love Beyonce, but I don't sing, I don't dance. It's not the career I want. Why would she be a role model? Accessible. Just make sure you can ask them questions, because the failures are not featured on Instagram with filters. Sometimes they are. I really appreciate Instagrammers that do that. But most of the time, no. It's a makeup filtered reality that doesn't really tell you what they've been through. Yeah, I don't want to preach to the converted, because I am sure that your audience is already very woke. But sure. I do think that sometimes we go through life without thinking, I want to get somewhere. Therefore, I have to find someone that's already there, that I'm relatable to, that is realistic and accessible, and I'm going to approach them. Most people, shock horror, are okay with that. Now, in my experience, if you just go to someone and say, I really like what you're doing, how did you get here? They're not going to be like, no, it's me, my career. I will not share my secrets. No, there's no secret. It's just like really hard work.
Couple of points from the chat. So Troublelex said that when I was ranting about everyone being so smart, that we need to learn to distinguish being smart from having experience. That is totally I agree with that. And it's definitely something that, so me as a kind of a junior developer, I find it still, I can't see it. Like, I just go straight to like, it's clearly the intelligence, like they're just getting it and I'm not seeing that. Even though sometimes I do have days when I'm like, oh wow, like even a month ago I would have no idea how to do this, and now I know. Well done, Ira. And the
ups and downs.
Yeah, it is a roller coaster of mutterings and cursing for me. And then we have a couple of, so it's one question, but it's quite with two people contributing. So what is the difference between a role model, a mentor, and I think we said a supervisor?
Sponsor?
Was it sponsor? Sponsor.
Yeah, I have an issue with that.
Which one?
Not with Biscotte. No issues with Biscotte. With the mentoring thing. I don't think people are very good or take it very seriously, the coaching, mentoring, sponsoring. I think a sponsor, as I live it in my work life, is someone very senior to whom you just feed and like information, and you go like, I need you to say this to someone, and they go and say it. Like they don't buy into it the whole time, but they are in principle bought. I'm going to be less abstract. So I am part of an LGBT group, and we have a sponsor, a senior person that is an ally. And we feed her some information sometimes of, we need you to remind people that, I don't know, Poland shouldn't have no gay sons. I don't know. Go say it. And it doesn't mean that in every June and July she's going to be marching with the rainbow flag. It just means that she has a long-term commitment to be our spokesperson. That's a sponsor. That when we need someone really senior to sign a piece of paper, she'll do it. A mentor, I don't want to just go into a hypothesis here of what a mentor and a coach is, like what is the difference. I think one is more hands-on than the other. Like the coach sounds more hands-on and the mentor sounds more like Socrates. Like, I will ask you questions and then you, young Padawan, will go and find the answers. I do know that there is a lot of gendered distinction between if a woman needs a mentor or if a man needs a coach, which really annoys me. I don't think that one gender needs a mentor, one gender needs a coach. So I think that's why I blocked it. Okay. But it's, I mean, if people know and they want to throw things at us via chat, that's
because
cool.
The role model sounds kind of more like maybe they don't even have to do anything.
Exactly.
Like they're just there.
They don't.
And you see them, you see them and they're an example for you to pursue. Whereas coach mentor kind of sounds more like there's a relationship.
Oh yeah, no, you have to build a relationship with your coach or mentor, and they don't necessarily need to be your role model. So there's rain. Sorry, is your audio fine?
Yeah, I was just reading. Okay. Sorry.
No, I do think that coach mentor, they have to buy into it. There is an active, I mean, if it's a good coach and a good mentor, they do some of the legwork, a lot of the legwork. No, for you to have someone as a role model, it's yours, it's intimate, it's, you know, they are your role model. You don't go and fangirl over them.
Narim asks a good question. He's asking if the role model has to be necessarily in your career, like your field, or can they be someone else?
I think it helps if it's in your field, but I don't have a role model in my field. And I think that is okay. That works because I can be deliberate enough to think, I want that work ethic, or I want that public persona, because my job is very much facing people.
You're like a female like version of James Bond, because like that's because you.
I can't tell you. I will have to kill you.
Because you keep saying, communication, public facing, good with weapons, has a dog.
Wearing fantastic dresses.
Exactly.
Or tux. I don't know. Whatever catches my fancy. No. But I do think that you don't need your
That's what James Bond would say, though, like when put on the spot.
Exactly. Have you ever watched any James Bond films?
Long
I mean, you sound
ago.
like you really have not.
I have.
Because he's not like very discreet. He's like, I'm Bond, James Bond. You know, well, for a spy, you suck.
But also I think, Nadine, to go back to your question, I think you can have different role models for different things in your life. So I find it like you can also isolate, because sometimes you might aspire for a skill or something that a person has, but not necessarily the whole package. So maybe they're not very good at something else, and you're like, I don't like how, they have anger management issues. That's not a thing so you don't have to follow the whole person, I think, as well. You can, I think, just isolate like, oh, I really like how the career progression that they followed, or what they did, or their leadership skills, so I think it's okay. So for me, at least, it's that I have like different role models for different things in my life, like different things I aspire to improve. So they're kind of like, oh, this is the next step, or this is where I'm at, and this is still where you can go, or how other people can do it better. So yeah, I definitely don't think you need to limit yourself to one person, or like, it's going to be very, very difficult to find someone that is in exactly same shoes as you are. So it's always going to be a bit of like, because we have different.
I do think that, like you say, that you can do short-term role modeling. Like you want to get to where someone is, and that is in close proximity to you. So it's just like a grade above you, or more proficient than you, but for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And once you get there, like you internally thank them and then discard that role model. I do think that having someone long-term, like really idealized, can help. Like to see someone and say, oh, I am going to be that. But I'd be lying if I said I have thought about someone like that. I still haven't. I am still looking for my ultimate role model of what I want to do and who I want to be. And I think that's fine. It's that last step and I think that's fine, that I am still searching, that I have moved from the last time that you heard my role models presentation to this time. I think now I am more relaxed about it all. Just thinking, I'll keep looking and I'll keep having these role modeling behaviors of people and I will keep growing. But that's still not where I want to be, and that's okay.
So then, yeah, I think it's a very complicated relationship because it implies a lot of introspection from yourself and like insight in yourself and who you are, because like oftentimes, you know, you think you know who you are, but maybe you portray a completely different version outside. So there's already that, and then also how, yeah, I think for me, like role models are often like a bit idealized versions, because obviously you don't know, of course, their entire situation, so you kind of fill in the gaps, which already is, you know, and not following.
Which is probably okay. Like, we don't want to know their full lives. You don't need to. I want to address a question that was raised in the chat. That how essential are role models, and what do you do if you can't find a decent role model? I have to find decent. I think you have role models. Like, we have subconscious role models, and we subconsciously or unconsciously, let's say they are interchangeable, repeat behaviors that we learn from these people that model our behavior. So you can either have them and not think about them and just go through life doing things that your mind is telling you you should do. For example, do crass jokes when, you know, that only female engineer gets into the room because that'll get everyone laughing. Or be deliberate and say, no, that's the path I want to go. And it took me a while to figure this one out, because I did have role models imposed. Everyone does. And I think it's a fun drunken Friday afternoon exercise now that we're in lockdown, to think, where do you get these things from? Like, you must hear like, oh, you're just like your dad. You do that just like your mom. And you got like this thing or that thing from your grandparents. Those are role models. You can't avoid them if you are not like Mowgli in the Jungle Book. You have role models. It is essential that for your health and your peace of mind and your career and your sense of fulfillment, that you turn them into deliberate role models. That's the only way that you can break with patterns. And now I'm going into CBT here, but it's the only way you can break with patterns that tell you, for example, that tell me, women cannot be engineers. Women cannot have PhDs. What do you mean you're 40 and you don't have children? All these behaviors and ideas have been role modeled. So, yeah, they are essential. And there's no way of not having them. You will have them. You can choose them, or you can suffer them.
Oh, so much. I can't read that fast. Really.
Oh, I can though.
Really?
Neil is raising another question. Interesting. What if you find out that your role model is actually a nasty person, and that's a reason for their success? Well, everyone has something that we don't like, and you can change your role model. You can take back the way you consider the person. It happens all the time as well. Like, you find out things about people, and I think it happens more with age because we become more discerning and more selective. You find out things about people that you don't like, and then you just take the good memories, take the good behaviors, take the good things. It's possible, and just discard the person. This person no longer in my life anymore. Sometimes we can do that, sometimes we cannot. I have found out that the person that has modeled my behavior the most is really not a nice person. And the not being a nice person, it is the reason of their success. But once you are deliberate in choosing your role models, you can discern and divide the parts that you want to pursue, the things you want to learn from that person, the things you aspire, and what you don't. You can be a better version of your role model. Hell yeah. We should aspire to that. Except if it's Angela Merkel. We should aspire to that. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Was this stream like sponsored like by Angela Merkel?
It was sponsored by Angela Merkel. I think you can definitely pick and choose what you want. It's not like you're marrying them. If you marry them, then you can't pick and choose. It's a whole person. But if you're only role modeling, then it's fine.
So would you say in your life, what role do role models have? Is it more like motivational, anchoring, like so you can compare yourself and where you are and where you want to be? What kind of relationship do you have? Is it like, I don't know, do you deliberately go out and look for them? Or do you, like, is it an important thing for you in your career development or your like emotional development?
I think it's a bit of everything. This is probably going to flop, but I am not terribly ambitious. Like, I don't want to go up in the ladder and be like, managing 100 people.
Managing James Bond.
Yeah, for example, I would rather not. Like, that is Dame Judi Dench, and yeah, she does a great job. I'm happy with her to continue doing that. What I do, or how I look for my role model, is I aim to fine-tune behaviors that respond to a very specific need that I have. It makes me happy to make people in an organization work well, communicate well, be cohesive, and be enthusiastic, also called glue work. It's not the kind of work that is going to make you, a director or a CEO, but it's the work I like. And there's people that are very good at it. So I actively look for people that, for example, chair really good meetings. Like, if someone chairs a meeting that is like Swiss clockwork and works perfect, and you get out of that meeting thinking, oh, I know why I was here and what I need to do next, I will hone in on that person until I learn how to do it. And that's what I use my role models for. Now, my temporary ultimate role model, this deputy director that I told you about earlier, it's an everything about her that I want to become. from the moment that you as a junior person enter the room and she tells you that you can be at the table and that you should speak, and that shuts up that person that never shuts up at meetings to ask your opinion, those kinds of things, those attitudes, I want to be that. I want to be intelligent and senior enough to be able to do that, to be able to give the space to voices that are not normally heard. I don't know how to do that, but I know it when I see it. So I'm very skills based. I choose my role models by thinking, what can I learn from this person? How can I learn it? How can I learn it? To the person that does the meetings, like Swiss clockwork, I just go to more meetings. And sometimes I do go afterwards and I'm like, oh, so do you have like a set template? Because all your meetings kind of go like this and this and that, and then actions. Do you follow certain steps? How do you know when to let someone speak and how to shut up someone? And how does it work? Let me into the mechanics. So it is very skills-based. I think some people may do it just inspirational. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I can't tell you about it because that's not how it works for me. I'm very practical.
Yeah, so now we've stepped into leadership waters. So people say that is indeed very difficult. And yeah, we have debates about that a lot because I am also very passionate about that because it's it's one of those skills that you have to learn unless you have charisma. I think the flying deaf, even if you have charisma.
Let me get my die.
Yes. What was I going to say?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's a dog. I like his. What is she?
She is so bored by this. She is like, mommy. I love you.
I just feel like she's not been inspired at all by this. Like she's not gonna go out and look for a role model.
She's dreaming.
Yeah, maybe unless if she's dreaming about role models, then this has not been a success.
She's her own role model. Like I want to be as zen as that dog. Like she's my zen role model. She's not zen. I mean, don't let me lie. Shall I wake up Gaita?
No.
Okay, no.
Because the chat is happy with the doggo.
Okay, well, yes, obviously.
Because otherwise there will be a problem.
If dog goes, it's like everyone just signs on, like no more. This is a new one though. That doggo is very popular, and you are not like arming yourself with cats or something.
No, I'm fine being the cat lady. Bye, Alex. Okay, cool. I think it's been an hour.
It has. Oh, it flies.
If anyone wants to share their experience or comments, suggestions, because we've been kind of trying, because I've had a lot of this share screen technical stuff. Let's learn about this library, and I thought it's also really nice to just talk to people and see, because I just think tech is a lot about being able to talk to people and understanding, and in my job, yes, I do code and I do learn about that, but a lot of times it's me trying to communicate with my teammates, people talking to me, solving issues, dealing with anger or frustration, or inspiring people, leading people. All of this is so important, and I think in tech is still quite a lot of people don't really give a lot of emphasis on it, and I feel especially for career changers is something that we can contribute, as a 30-year-old person with life experience and work experience and experience of living in different countries, speaking different languages, being part of a different culture. You have so much that you can bring to work compared to a fresh graduate that maybe has amazing tech skills, but it's just a little bit confused about everything else. So I think, yeah, it might be something that I will introduce a bit more in the future streams. But
I mean, people can vote if they want me as a regular, like once every 2 months.
I think it's something. A dog. The dog definitely stays. Like,
but you know what?
But we'll see. But yeah, thank you to Valerie. And on Wednesday we are going to have a technical stream again. So we're going to be joined by Stephanie. We're going to be talking about 11T, the static site generator that I'm also very excited about. So, and she's a master, and I'm gonna badger her about CSS and Sass as well, because she's really, really good about that. With that, thank you to everyone for your questions. I think the chat today has been like lit, as they say. Yes, partly due to the doggo, but also I feel like we have raised some good points. Yeah, and I just think this is a really nice way of just not having this really structured, introduce yourself, now do this, goodbye. So yeah, and just being more also guided by the chat and what people have to say. I thought I was, yeah, Narine, hype, 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 dog, dog, dog emoji. So yeah, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Valerie. We should have a one-on-one with a doggo. When the dog is asleep, or like, because she doesn't say much.
Shall she just come and say goodbye?
Okay, Gaita.
Gaita, mami. Ven, mami. Ven, nena. Ven.
Thank you,
despiértate. Ven, mami.
Poor dog.
Ven, nena. In? Okay, there. Okay, fine. Gaita, mami.
Okay, profile. So this is dog.
This is dog.
We have now awakened her from her dreams of role models and James Bond.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, and with that, we'll bid you farewell. We'll see you. Well, I'll see you on Wednesday. So in 2 days, same time, to talk about 11T. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.